Hey, thanks for checking out the video. If you all like it, please like and subscribe, and hope you all enjoy it. Have a great rest of the day.
Doesn't necessarily ping because it's a wooden rammer, but as long as it just doesn't go.
Just go get in front of me.
But any questions while we're waiting for everyone to get here? Firelocks. Take care to search arms. Search arms. Nope. Hold on. One thing, wooden muskets, the wood will swell and the rammers get stuck. It's great fun.
I was like 5 years old when we went to Louisville.
Oh, I was a junior. Yeah, me and Alex broke up shit. Everybody else was stupid.
Return rammers. Shoulder firelocks. Is everyone familiar with the National Park Salute?
Huh?
The what?
The National Park Salute. What we do it upside down. Half cock it, hold the trigger by your thumb.
Yes.
Oh,
We jokingly call it the National Park Salute.
Okay.
So, National
thank
Park
you.
Salute. I don't have a command for that.
Sure you do. National Park salute.
Half cock it.
Ferguson Rifle. Half cock. If you've ever heard the expression "don't go off half cocked," this is where it comes from.
Because you can't.
Shoulder firelocks.
Can we do this one?
Are you gonna shoot it?
I hope. I got mad the other day because I didn't fire. I'll do it later.
Company dismissed.
Thank you. Here.
Great inspection, Tim.
How many people in the regiment?
It varied. Typically, you'd have about 1,000 at least for a regiment. They'd be broken up into several companies. Militia about the same. Militia maybe less, because militia they're citizen soldiers. They don't follow the exact same rules the Continental Army does, unless they are falling in with the Continentals and they are forced to follow those rules. In theory.
So you're not following the rules, huh?
No, because they want to line up and get shot at. I want to sit in the woods and shoot at people.
Most of your
Because it's
high,
safer.
most of your high
And I will hit something more than they will hit with their muskets. He and I have rifles. We have been trained, actually not trained, we have lived a life where we had to feed our families with our rifles. So therefore, what I shoot at, I'm going to hit. And, oh, you don't have one on today. And the officers in the do you have yours on? Okay. The officers in the British Army love to wear these brass, what they call gorgets. They're real pretty. They like to shine them up.
And they're visible.
We like to shoot at them.
Any of you guys coming to see Horn in the West tonight? Highly recommend it, but most of our officers, our British officers, other than Governor Tryon, I don't wear one. That way, I don't look exactly like the main villain. We'll be wearing the gorgets. So Captain Mackenzie wears one, and Major Ferguson, played by myself, will be wearing one as well.
Are any of y'all from South Carolina? Good. Let's talk about that. Are you familiar with the South Carolina flag?
Yes.
Everybody thinks it's a crescent moon. It is not a crescent moon. It is the gorget.
Oh.
Okay. It is the gorget with the, what's the tree?
Oh,
It's not a palm, it's a palmetto tree. Because this is what set, actually the American Revolution started at a fort there called Fort Moultrie. And the Moultrie flag had the gorget on it with the word liberty on it or inscribed in it. There's debate on that. So that is to help to remember the history of it. The fort was built out of palmetto logs. So when the British were firing at these logs, they were spongy. And their cannonballs just bounced off.
Oh, wow.
So it actually saved that fort.
did not help it in 1780 though. The logs were not as spongy.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about the actual fall of Charlestown.
Oh, yeah, horrible. Yeah. Well, the ending
When
was
Charlestown
good.
fell, over 5,000 Patriots are taken prisoner.
Yeah, it was bad.
The entire Southern Department, all your Carolina regiments were gone.
Yeah.
And by that point, North Carolina.
Except for
What?
Swamp Fox.
because he left.
That's right.
He left.
He was smart.
Francis Marion was a officer in the Continental Army at the time.
Yes.
He was attending a dinner party that one of his officers was hosting.
Myth.
He was not at a dinner party?
Myth. He didn't jump out the window and break his leg.
Well, I'm just
Oh,
saying
he
was
jumped out. Right. Well.
No, he did.
Well,
What
you're-
happens
yeah,
at
but
dinner
you're
parties?
missing. It
What
starts
happens
at-
at dinner parties in this time was, yeah, a lot of drinking, but they locked you in the house.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
But he
and
got-
Francis Marion was not a big drinker.
Right. Right.
So the way the story goes, he went out the second story window and broke his ankle.
Right.
But
That's not
escaped
true.
Charleston. Like,
Yeah.
like.
Oh, okay.
And decided at that point, I am done with. He said, I am done with the Continental Army. If they are not, and this is while the British are bombarding the city.
Yeah.
The officers are holding a party. They're like, let's toast our victory. And he's like, we've not won anything yet.
Yeah.
Why are we toasting a victory we've not won? And they didn't win. Charleston is the biggest defeat for the Continental Army in the
Sure
entire
is.
war. Second biggest defeat will be the Battle of Camden, where over 1,000 casualties, killed, wounded, captured.
Mm.
Did you say Camden or Cameron?
Camden.
Camden, South Carolina.
Where they just had the
The Revere.
Yes,
Yep,
ma'am.
yep, yep.
We were there.
You were there?
You were there.
Very
He and I
cool.
were.
Um,
And Lauren was there. Was Doug there?
no.
Very cool.
My friend Lisa was there. We were all there. We camped out there. It was great.
A lot of people don't realize how many battles there were in the Carolinas. South Carolina had over 200.
Most battles of any other colony of the other 12 in South Carolina.
North
Most of
Carolina.
them were small. But when you read about them, you see how everything fell in line to Cornwallis's main defeat. Everyone wants to talk about Yorktown. Don't want to talk about Yorktown.
It's Kings Mountain.
You lead. I don't want to talk about
Kings
Kings Mountain either. Don't want to talk about Kings Mountain either. Ramsource Mill was before Kings Mountain. There were other things leading up to Kings Mountain as well. Camden, Waxhaws, the Battle of the Waxhaws happened. All these
it's a
things
domino
happened
effect.
leading up to Kings Mountain and the defeat there. But
The biggest thing Kings Mountain did was wipe out Cornwallis' loyalists. And in all honesty, he didn't really care. He had no respect for
You didn't like Ferguson?
Oh no, Cornwallis and Tarleton hated Ferguson. Ferguson, believe it or not, Ferguson was one of the few British officers who was actually human. He actually had the well-being of the colonists in mind. Everyone thinks he sent out this "I will lay waste your country with fire and sword" proclamation. He never said it. First time that ever shows up is in Colonel Isaac Shelby's memoirs in 1820. Most likely Shelby made it up. We know their park
you're
ranger.
talking about my ancestry.
And what spurred all of the Scotch-Irish
Shelby.
militia to come in?
Shelby,
Shelby. He rewrote Ferguson.
Shelby, Sevier, all of them.
When they got that,
Started
now it's either Shelby or Sevier got the proclamation first. I can't remember who. It spread very rapidly. The actual proclamation Ferguson sent is a very wordy proclamation where he basically says this is a diluted war. We will fight you if we have to. But your wives and families will not be targets of this war. And any officer on either side who breaks this rule will be dealt with harshly. Ferguson was a man of honor. He had the opportunity to shoot a Continental officer in the back of the brain.
He's saying all this because he's playing Ferguson in the show.
Nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it. Listen, I've heard too many people who play characters and things defend their character. Okay?
Key in
You
game.
I-
beat him with a bum
yeah.
arm too?
I actually skipped that for the show.
Okay.
For the show, I keep it simple. But
I give Taylor a hard time because Taylor and I have known each other what, 4 or 5 years now.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
It's been a
See,
while.
so yeah, I don't get to see him that much, so I don't get to give him a hard time that much. So sorry, you guys are part.
Ferguson commanded a rifle company. If you come back here July 29th, I am hoping to have a demonstrator here with a Ferguson rifle. Crossing my fingers. I am crossing my fingers to see it. That's every reenactor's dream, is to see or hold one of those things.
Hold one. I want one.
Yeah.
I win the lottery. Everybody gets a Ferguson.
The way the Ferguson rifle worked, it was a breech loading rifle. You unscrew the trigger guard, which has been right there. You can load it from the breech. He could fire a Ferguson rifle 6 to 7 times a minute. A trained British or Continental can fire their musket 3 times a minute, maybe 4.
The British Army didn't think they were viable,
And they were.
so there were only 200 made.
Oh my.
And then, with an anniversary just recently, about within the past year, they made the same gun makers made 200 more. The first one went out off on auction. Opening bid was $50,000.
Oh my.
I'm not paying $50,000 for a Ferguson, okay? I will pay $1,800 for a kit and build my own.
But
I know people that build weapons.
at Brandywine, Ferguson, they are scouting the battlefield from the back, as both sides always did. Ferguson comes upon two officers. One in a Continental General Officer uniform, like what I'm wearing. The other, they believe, was in what they called a Hussar uniform. They think that was Kazimierz Pulaski. He was a Polish officer who basically is considered the father of American cavalry. He revolutionized, pardon the term, the pun, our cavalry during the Revolution. Ferguson levels his rifle at that officer. The officer has no clue Ferguson. That officer turns his back, rides off. Ferguson didn't take the shot. He's like, it is not honorable to shoot an enemy in the back when they are not openly attacking. During the Battle of Brandywine, Ferguson is shot in the right arm. Basically, his arm is stuck like this the rest of his life. While he is recovering, he learns that in the area where he was scouting, other scouts had seen none other than George Washington.
Oh, wow.
Most likely that officer that Ferguson spared was Washington. We don't have the definitive proof to say it was, but it most likely.
I do.
I think it was Washington. It's too much
He's
of
my
a coincidence.
cousin.
It's too much of a coincidence.
It's true.
Now, the character I play in the beginning of Horn in the West, I want to talk about a bad guy he was. Royal Governor William Tryon. Had good ideas for North Carolina. He did put down a pre-Revolutionary War rebellion. He gets to New York, becomes a military officer, he goes flat out crazy. They actually send him back to London because they're like, we cannot bring you in. I'm not completely crazy, obviously, in the chat. Just boasting about my victory at Allen's. But yeah, if you guys have not seen Horn in the West, we will have a show tonight. Come see it. You'll get your tickets at the ticket office ticket office there at the top of the hill. Gates open at 7:30. Show starts at 8 o'clock. It's about a 2-hour show.
I don't want to give it away, but the Patriots win.
And Ferguson dies.
And Ferguson dies.
The one.
And I've just gotten the okay to shoot at Ferguson tonight.
I heard that they weren't too nice when they buried him.
Oh no.
I'm still not too nice when I go to see
They
Chris.
defile his body.